I would like to bring you a short sci-fi story. Hope you enjoy.
This is only one battle out of many around the world. The Battle of Swinton. The unrelenting rain came down in sheets on the 22nd of January 2025, obscuring the horizon and drenching the makeshift fortifications of the Swinton mission station. A dozen men huddled under the scant shelter of crumbling stone walls, their faces pale with exhaustion, their uniforms muddied clumps of earth and grime. The low rumble in the distance grew louder, choking the air with an uneasy tension. With no more than 100 men left, most of whom were injured or ill, the British garrison braced itself against an incoming tide of darkness. As they turned their weathered gazes towards the horizon, they didn't merely see the low hills of England. They saw the silhouettes of the alien war machines approaching, glimmering like sinister metal beasts under the unrelenting storm. An invasion begins. The alien horde, the Zathair, descended upon Earth with terrifying precision, their battle-hardened warriors numbered in the thousands. Among them were the Onyx Phantom commanders, renowned across the galaxy for their prowess in close combat. Clad in shimmering blue armor that mirrored the sky, their massive shields adorned with intricate carvings and deadly blades at their sides, the Zathair were a stark contrast to the men defending the mission station. Yet here they were, a well-trained, well-organized bunch of British soldiers, scarred from previous engagements, holed up in what was seen as their last bastion. Corporal David Hastings stood atop the makeshift barricade, peering into the thick curtain of rain. "Look alive! They're nearly upon us." His voice cut through the air. Beside him, Private Jenna Woods adjusted her rifle. "What's the plan?" she gasped through gritted teeth, battling against the chill both from the cold and the gloomy prospect before them. "We hold our ground, no matter the odds," Hastings bellowed, raising his eyes to his comrades. "Remember what we're fighting for." The first wave crashed against the outer defenses like a thunderstorm. Hundreds of Zathair soldiers charged, their shouts an echoing cacophony in the rain-soaked air. The ground tremored beneath their armored boots as they approached, their metallic shields raised high, a foreboding wall of intent. The British soldiers fired in unison, the crack of gunfire mingling with the glaring light of discharges as they unleashed a volley upon the alien ranks. Explosions thundered as rounds struck true, taking down several advancing foes. Yet for each trooper felled, a dozen more surged onward. Through the chinks and cracks in armor, Jenna aimed and unleashed deadly precision, her heart pounding in her ears. Suddenly, she spotted a bulking warrior with crimson streaks, a commander, the insignia proud on his chest, cutting through their lines in a way that made them falter. He hurled his blade with masterful skill, sending it gutting through the ranks like an avenger's scythe. "Regroup," Hastings shouted, positioning himself to stop the approaching onslaught. As chaos unfolded, shadows of despair lurked thick in the air, but outpacing fear was an ember of determination. Soldiers stuck together, firing at an opposing flood that sought to crush their resistance underfoot. The phalanx of men held back the tide as some retreated into the rubble while others stood firm despite their injuries. In the back, Sergeant Lewis Hayes, a wounded veteran with shrapnel embedded in his shoulder, barked orders amidst the shooting pain. "Stay sharp. Just need to hold until nightfall." He gritted his teeth against the pain, rallying those around him. A moment of reprieve, the Zathair regrouped, and so did the British forces behind swiftly constructed barricades of debris. With little time to waste, they assembled their defenses and formulated an escape plan, more concerned with survival than outright victory. As darkness loomed, the din of battle faded into uneasy silence. Breathing deeply, Hastings wiped the rain and sweat from his brow. The battlefield became a hellish landscape painted with the stark contrast of light and shadow. He could almost feel the eyes of the Zathair upon them, taking stock. But an unexpected quiet fell. a disruption of tactics as the aliens reevaluated their strategy for the next wave. Through the cover of night, the British men used the terrain and their surroundings to their advantage. Tensions flared as patience waned, yet they stood shoulder to shoulder, moving in unison. Moments of clarity broke through their collective fears. Jenna gazed at her comrades, faces aglow with determination, an odd sense of purpose overshadowing their despair. Victory seemed a distant dream, but they were still alive, and that single fact rippled through the tension-laden air. The day ends with one resolve still burning deep within them. They would not bend nor break. Not today. The rain had ceased its relentless downpour, leaving behind a wet darkness and an eerie calm as the British garrison prepared for the second day of the invasion on January 23rd. In the remnants of the Swinton mission station, the air was thick with the stench of sweat, metal, and the acrid tang of gunpowder, a lingering reminder of the ferocity with which they had fought back the first wave. As dawn cracked, pale light filtered through the clouds, exposing the reality of the battlefield. The wreckage of fallen Zathair soldiers lay strewn across the ground. Hastings surveyed the damage and felt a new fire ignite within him. "Get ready, lads. They'll come again, and we need to be ready," he ordered, horror drifting away with the new day. The remaining 100 men, bloodied but unbowed, exchanged weary nods, determination setting in like a battle hymn, overcoming fatigue as they too acknowledged their solemn duty to defend. "What do we do when they charge?" muttered Private Woods, knuckles pale as he clenched his rifle tight. Fear flickered through his dark eyes. "We fight. We fight until there's nothing left of us to fight with." Hastings squared his shoulders, his voice dropping to a fervent whisper. "We won't just hold our ground. We will show them that they picked the wrong fight." As the day unfolded, the British soldiers found strength in camaraderie, crafting new strategies. They laid traps made of barbed wire and chaos, their determination bolstered by the anticipation of an attack. They scavenged what they could, makeshift explosives created from supplies they had salvaged over the last few days. With each added line of defense, they breathed heavier with hope, the fire in their hearts fueling an unwavering resolve. The Zathair, sensing their temporary defeat, regrouped and recalibrated their approach. The commanders conferred, shifting gears for another relentless wave with a renewed intensity that promised to be even more brutal. "Prepare yourselves," Hastings shouted, steeling his men against the inevitable onslaught. At mid-morning, the undulating sounds of the Zathair battle march erupted through the gloomy mist once more. As shadows emerged against the pale gray horizon, the battlefield roared back to life. They came in waves, the Zathair warriors surging forward, their ruthless determination evident in every shield raised and blade gleaming. Hastings could feel the gravity of the moment. He'd mustered every ounce of hope he could glean along 2 nights of darkness, but now despair was unfurling its wings again as the alien horde charged. "Fire!" Hastings commanded as the British soldiers met the assault with a chorus of gunfire echoing against the moans of the wind. The sound surged like the storm itself, ripping through the air as projectile after projectile struck Zathair soldiers, temporarily halting their advance. But the aliens were ruthless. Each fatal loss only caused the flanking ranks to tighten, their jaws clenched, eyes simmering with alien wrath. "Advance, re-engage," came a sudden bellow from the Zathair commander, the one Hastings had spotted during the first assault, a scarred giant wielding a massive, serrated blade that glinted like obsidian. The sight of him galvanized his men into action. Chaos erupted as the British soldiers fell back onto their improvised barricades. The air filled with the crack of shields, the grating sounds of blades colliding and gunfire melding into a symphony of violence. Hastings clutched his rifle tightly, his finger poised over the trigger, adrenaline coursing through his veins. "Stand firm. They can't breach our defenses," he roared, but reality gnawed at him with each passing moment. A Zathair warrior crashed through their defenses, a wall of shimmering blue armor blotting out the sun. Hastings instinctively raised his weapon, but it was Private Woods who was faster, his rifle's shell striking true. The soldier toppled, but Hastings sensed already that breakthrough was imminent. The Zathair's numbers swelled, breaching the solid barrier of their defenses. Reality devolved into chaos, and blood painted the mud in a grotesque tapestry of sacrifice. Each soldier fought, furious yet desperate, knowing that survival still depended on maintaining their unity. In the thick of the melee, Hastings spotted the same Zathair commander, now rending through his comrades like a banshee unleashed. He shouted to Sergeant Hayes, who was barricaded nearby, bandaging a wound with shaking hands. "Cover me! I'm going in!" Hastings bellowed, barreling toward the commander abloom with ferocity. The nearby soldiers abandoned their posts to keep the enemy at bay, hooting and pushing back their forces. Evidence of exhilaration surged through Hastings as he got closer, igniting the adrenaline to pummel through his veins as he bore down on the towering figure with raw resolve. He leapt and dodged, using the chaos to his advantage, slinging his rifle behind him, and grasped his combat knife, ready to use the ancient weapon against alien technology. As they clashed, Hastings' heart raced, every blow echoing like the tempest crashing upon their threshold. The Zathair commander was powerful, but Hastings was fueled by his resolve, the invincible spirit of a soldier who dared to fight for humanity's survival. The duel spiraled in a haze and a whirlwind of motion. Hastings learned to anticipate the commander's strikes, twisting and deflecting, finding openings to exploit, while nearby combat swirled like a maelstrom. Stand and deliver then, with a bellowing roar, Hastings found a gap under the commander's shield. With desperate force, he plunged the knife deep into the interstice of the armor, feeling the rush of victory as he crushed the weak point with newfound resolve. The Zathair fell with a grunt, the metallic frame crumpling beneath him, lifeless. Hastings howled, pride blooming in his chest, and battled back toward his comrades, who had weathered hell and faced uncertainty with unfettered intent. As the day bled into dusk, the remaining Zathair forces reeled at the loss of their commander, and under rising darkness, their drive faltered, a sudden shift in the momentum, as if gravity itself had shifted. A bittersweet victory in the end. It was not numbers or technology that defined them. It was courage, unity, and an unwavering belief that together they could stand against the shadow that loomed over Earth. As night descended, the sound of retreat filled the air, leaving the battlefield stilling to a haunting serenity. The soldiers stood united, battered yet victorious, with breaths heavy and hearts full of defiance. Hastings knew this was only one battle in a larger war, yet it was a moment that stood especially revered, a testament to mankind's indomitable spirit against insurmountable odds. They thought of the families waiting back home, a shard of hope echoing in their minds. The Battle of Swinton was merely one of many. In the Earth's fight for survival, but with resolve burning strong, they knew they would not bow or break, for humanity would persevere. This battle ends with the haunting realization that the fight was not yet over, but a spark ignited amidst despair. A renewed strength lay within, promising that the war was still theirs to win.
If you liked this video, please think about subscribing.